Well, hello everyone. My name's Rick Farron, and we're so glad you could be with us tonight. Wow, we've got some really good things happening here tonight. Normally, Anne Marie would be on with her program, Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower. But we got a program still called Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower. But filling in for Anne Marie is Wendy Lee Tucker. She's out of Florida. And Wendy is no stranger to the six screens. If you listened in years ago when we really first started our programming, Wendy had one of the very first programs here on the six screens. It was called The Hen's Pen. And people out there probably remember it. We had Marilyn Marsh was on it with Wendy at first, and then Anne Marie joined in, and a man that now is not with us named Dan Hall. He also was involved with that program. It was a very successful program, and we're welcoming Wendy in tonight. Hello, Wendy.
Hello, Rick there, and how are you? How are you?
Well, Wendy, I have to tell you, a lot of things have happened. This whole witness movement is, let me put it this way to you, Wendy. They are on life support. They really are.
I'm blown away because you have to understand, where we live, in east of me in West Palm Beach, they have the huge Jehovah's Witness Convention Center, the big dome. It used to be, for rock bands or circuses, and we would rent it. Not we, the society would rent it. And, it was back in the days where you bought the tickets to buy your food, and it was a week-long convention, and it's still going on. And it's ironic because every time I drive by there, I realize how things have changed so much, I don't even see really many assemblies going on there. We protested the last one that I had been to, which was about 6 years ago. But just driving around and looking at the Kingdom Halls and seeing these people standing up with their carts and their magazines and the way they're dressed, and then, some other things I'll share with everybody. Just in general, things have shifted. It's like it's the ever-changing, they're trying to get hip with society so that they can get more parishioners, I guess. I don't know. What do you think, Rick?
Well, they're doing everything they possibly can. I got information. A young man sent me some information today that his wife, he's no longer wanting to go. He's a PMO, but, he doesn't want to really go to the conventions. But he gave me information today I found very fascinating. It's concerning the Cow Palace out in California. Now, normally that's a big arena. They can fit 60, 70,000 people in there. And that's where the witnesses used to have their convention, but they don't have it there anymore. They're now, that's right outside of San Francisco. So they don't have it at the Cow Palace. They had it, of all places, at a convention, an assembly hall. And then also having it at conference centers, at hotels. So, the wife, he was telling me his wife came back from the convention and she said, "Oh, honey, it was packed. It was packed. You should have saw the people." Now, normally it wasn't a big assembly hall. Normally they can put 1,000 people in there. That's not that big, but they had 1,700 people. She said it was so crowded. Jehovah was really helping us. But he says, "Well, honey, they used to have it in the Cow Palace. They packed it, 70,000 people. So why can't the witnesses see this, Wendy?"
Yeah, well, when I was talking to Anne Marie about, what I wanted to talk about, that was one of the things that I said. If you go into any non-denominational or even Baptist, whatever church, they're packed to the gill. Christ Fellowship down here, it's over 2,000 people every week. So, when you go into a Kingdom Hall, you're dealing with, I know because the last time I was in a Kingdom Hall, it was like there was hardly any people in there. It was like, wow, it's, back in the 70s, the 60s and the 70s, when my family, when I was in it, my family's still in it, the Kingdom Halls were full. But, Rick, you got to remember they were condensing a lot of these assemblies to put everybody in one place because when we protested the assembly hall here in West Palm Beach, we went in and you could tell it was people from, you know, other different congregations by the tags, you know, if this said Dade County or, you know, Palm Beach or whatever, you know, Broward, whatever, you know, we could tell by the tag. So, you know, I think they were condensing it so that these brothers and sisters come in there and yeah, it's packed, but it's not as many, you don't have 7-day or 5-day assemblies anymore. You know, the Ramada Inn that's across the street there, they finally sold the, you know, the hotel. You know, they used to put up big signs, welcome Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, for the assemblies, because I remember as a little girl, my family coming up here to West Palm and going to Ramada Inn across the street and then going into the Big Dome. And so it's ironic that they own it now and they profited from selling half the parking lot to Home Depot. So, but yeah, anyway, I want to move along with you because I want to hear, you know, Rick, I really want to hear from, you know, if there's people out there, Rick, that have been, it's been so long for me. So all of you out there, I would love, I wrote out kind of a format of what I want to hear. I don't want to do the talking tonight. If you know me well, you know I'll chew your ear off. So I would like, I'm going to ask some questions, and anybody can go back and forth. It doesn't matter if it's what time frame you came out of or what subject matter you want to bring up. I'll give you about 2 to 3 minutes, and then you can go back and forth. Rick has the what do you call it? The
control panel. Yeah. Well, what we got to, I'll be monitoring Facebook and YouTube. We have in the chat, so I'll be watching that. So when you ask the questions, great. Some people, I'll kind of watch that for you, Wendy, and bring it up. So I'll cut you loose. I'm here, though. I'm watching over things. So go ahead. It's all yours.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So here's what I wrote out. And I got excited because, like I said, I see the people with the cards and, you know, and then like I have people that I know that are in my life that they get phone calls, they get letters, you know, back in my time, I'm going to start off with just what I would like to know from all of you and what I would like to share with all of you. So it's the Watchtower Society is what we were used to calling it, not jw.org, not even Jehovah's Witnesses. It was the Watchtower Society. And if you came from the time like when my mother was baptized, which was the mid-60s, I think it was 63 or 64 that my mother got baptized, and came down from New York and came, you know, to Florida. And then there are people that it was during the 70s. And of course, the 70s is a hot topic for all of us because 1975 was supposed to be when Armageddon was going to come and everything was going to blow up and whatever. Now, you know, we knew that didn't happen. A little side note, I actually packed my stuff as a little 7-year-old. I think I was 6 or 7. I packed all my baby dolls into a knapsack and bungee corded them. Okay, folks, that's what I did in 1975 because my brother convinced me of the rumor that everybody heard. Now, once again, it didn't happen, so there was some explaining to do. And of course, it was, well, they didn't say that. That was just what they thought, you know, they might or whatever their excuses. So if you're from that time era, that's going to be really interesting to me. And then to hear from some of you that are from recent years, maybe the last 10, 5 or whatever years. Okay, so whatever time frame you're from, whatever generation you are from, I was blessed to have met icons in this. I like to call them icons because people that started this whole thing way back, and Rick knows who I'm talking about, like from the very, very beginning, everybody who had passed away, and gotten to hear and see. I mean, we had what, Rick, it was, if Rick's listening, you don't have to tune in, but I remember we had cassettes, and if you remember cassette recorders, so, you know, everybody gave their testimony on these cassettes, and then it went into the disc, you know, so everything kind of was evolving, as far as this, you know, this whole thing that was going on. But anyways, so how, you know, what era you were from, compared to, the middle years, which I consider the early 2000s, and then now, of course. The other subject I wanted to talk about, and like I said, I'm just going to lay out this format real quick, and then just anybody call in, and Rick will let you in. I want to hear what you have to say. So we know about disfellowshipping. You know, my oldest brother's disfellowshipped. I was put on public reproof and whatever. You know, whatever. Who those out there with that have been given counsel? You know, you go in the back room with 3 elders, and you get your little council meeting for, you know, disciplinary action or whatever it is. Were you ever caught up in any of that? You know, what about getting caught being told, you know, independent thinking? You know, that's a subject that, wow, it was very scary, because even your so-called friends that were in the Kingdom Hall were tattletelling on you if you were saying anything that wasn't in line with what the society was trying to make sure you were getting pounded in your brain. So depending on your time frame, the do's, the don'ts. I remember years ago, I've had a lot when I was on the 6 screens, I was able to do a lot of interviews with people who wrote books about the Watchtower Society, and listening to people like on the other side of the United States. The Kingdom Halls were different. Some were nicer than others, depending on location. Some weren't as strict as others. Some were just strictly wealthy people, you know, things like that. So, and then also, if you know about the reason, you know, with JW.org, and that's how I found out about the Watchtowers before that happened with the JW.org. We have to remember, when you go on the computer and you put in Jehovah's Witnesses, what happens? Boom, like popcorn explodes, you know, the pedophilia, the society, the truth about it, and then you're down this rabbit hole for a long time trying to figure out what just happened. So if you're out there and you remember that, or you're going through that, and I know there are people listening that just listen because they're on the fence, or you know, they're from the conscience class, or you know, whatever it is. So 70s, I know that we were warned about certain things that we weren't allowed to do, and whatever. So also, I would like to talk about the present and what I have found out, and in my own family, because what I'll share with all of you was a miracle. My third brother, or no, my youngest, I'm sorry, below me, I have not spoken to my family in over 10 years. And except for my oldest brother, who was disfellowshipped. And he was disfellowshipped not for doing anything against Jehovah, but not wanting to have a conversation with them about his, you know, his marriage. That's why you get disfellowshipped in that, right? Anyways, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, my notes here bring up the no beards, the women wearing slacks, the short hair. Back then, we had to dress a certain way. So there are women out there that remember that, and then, you know, and then now how it's changed, and the door. You know, you're not pounding on doors anymore. You're not, you know, you're not out in field service is what we call it. So I don't know, Rick, if there's anybody out there that's pressing *6 that wants to say something, would you let them in?
I will let them in. In fact, I just...
Right here. Dixie is in the house.
Hi, what is your name?
Hi. Dixie.
I can hear you, but I can't hear you.
Hi, Dixie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Dixie.
Hi.
Okay, I got you. Okay, hi, Dixie. How you doing?
I'm doing well. California is more relaxed in the dress code, that's for sure. I was calling about the new JW.org video where these 2 best friends get into a squabble. And it's been noted on a lot of the different YouTube channels. And what was interesting to me was, in this skit, the one actor says to the other, who's supposed to be his best friend, well, you need to talk to the elders on that, because you know, you went to a website where you've got a different view. And the comeback is my family motto for the last 85 years. The one man says to the other, well, you've got to keep an open mind. Now, who can argue with you got to keep an open mind?
Well,
they are trying to have closed minds as a policy. And that's all I wanted to say this evening. But this video is being critiqued in at least 3 podcasts. And I think that everyone that listens to Six Screens has a new motto. Let's keep an open mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Who's that? Who's that? Thank you, Dixie. Who's the gentleman speaking? Hello.
Hello, am I speaking to the infamous Anne Marie?
No, you are speaking to her helper, Wendy Lee Tucker. How are you?
Oh my God, the name Wendy. It's like that association song. And you heard? Are you old enough to have heard that song?
Wait, say it again, because when you said it, I heard
Wendy.
you in that. Yes. Oh, you mean what? Wendy has wings to fly, fly
There
up
you go.
high.
Of course.
Okay, yeah, of course I know it. I'm a Wendy.
There you go. What a great
You
song.
just told everybody my age. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, I'm telling my age too, so suck it up.
Yeah. All right. So tell me what age, what time frame were you from, and what the heck? Y'all need to fill me in. How's that?
I'm a double nickel. 55er.
Okay.
I turned 70 this month, so I'm one of the double nickels. Just turned 70,
Yeah.
But the thing about Watchtower is I happened to accidentally, when I came into organization. Hey, is Rick still there, by the way? You on there, Rick?
I'm still here, yes, King. And in fact,
Rick,
I want you to. I just want to mention to Wendy, this is King of Dots. That's with the name he goes by, King of Dots.
Okay.
Rick, I want to call in later and do 2 poems tonight. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, what you want to do is call in on JW World News later on tonight.
Yes, I will call in and do 2 poems tonight. One that an apostate tubester insisted I do, and it's called The Last Suit I'll Ever Wear, I believe is what it's called. I can't even remember. I'm up to 180 apostate poems, and I'm going to tell you something. This is as close to being inspired of God as I've ever gotten,
Yeah.
I mean, I have so many poems, and I keep finding more stuff. But I want to say, I can't happen. I'm talking to Wendy. I love the name Wendy, by the way. Anyway, when I came in Watchtower, I was entangled with 2 families of 75ers. They all had 8 kids each, and 7 of the 8 in each family came to the truth. One was my study teacher. And so I was actually able to see what happened over time.
Yeah.
And it's a study in how it all turned out. One family, the top 3, their 3 daughters are still in the truth. None of the sons, okay, out of 8 kids. And the other family, as far as I know, only one of the 3 daughters, one committed suicide in the truth, and the rest were boys stayed in the truth. And that's really what happened to the 75ers. Pretty much in that little dichotomy, 70% of them, they're out. Period.
Well, I do remember Rick telling us, there's a lot of research that went back in the early years when I was, with Rick, that for a very short time, the suicide rate in the United States was higher among Jehovah's Witnesses than the national average. Because at that point, because you got to remember, like the era I'm from, which is, my mom was baptized in the 60s, so I was born 67, and then you figure I had to grow up through that, 1975 stuff, and then all these other, 22 predictions that never came true, and, growing up, whatever, but that's a different time. But, like the woman that was just on Dixie, she said, yeah, it is more laid back in California. And that's so funny that she's the first person that came on and said that, because I actually was going to say it was California that I was told was a lot more laid back. You know what I'm saying? My father was an elder for a very long time. And then he had to step down because of the politics of kingdom halls, when they, different kingdom halls treat you in different ways. And if somebody doesn't want you in their clique, I'm sorry, I've seen it. You're not in.
Well, I'll tell you honestly, Wendy, I wasn't appointed elder. I thought they were going to try to appoint me. I had my whole speech made out. No, I have no interest in being an elder, because I'm not going to share blood guilt with you for the people to kick out, because it's all according to their mood. Look, I've seen it all the time. Some guy, well, I personally know experiences, okay? And they did, one hall, they disfellowshipped all the women, all the girls who committed fornication, but none of the men. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I don't know what they're doing, but they should stop doing it. That's the point. They would really, their organization would be, actually maybe become Christian if they stop this crap.
There's a few things they got to change, and then, just try to be that non-denominational, just, it's like, please, you don't have, organization is not,
well, look, people do their own voluntary disfellowshipping. You don't need to have a committee. We all disfellowship people. You know what I mean?
True, but it's different when, look, I have 4 brothers, okay? 4. One will talk to me because, he got disfellowshipped and he's out. He's checked out as far as and I don't call it the truth. I call it the society. He's out. He's out of the society. Okay. The Watchtower Society. I mean, come on, think about it. Think about the word society. Isn't that a hint? Society. Why aren't they using church? Why, that's another day, another subject. But what
the thing is, the society word, they officially banned that in like 1994 or something. We're no longer using the word,
Exactly my point.
The fact that keep changing this wordplay shows they're trying to manipulate what's going on,
Well, you see what happened with JW.org. I mean, I literally found out about this being the biggest fraud ever to be, and the one cult that doesn't get touched. I mean, for goodness sakes, the Catholic Church gets in the news more than the Jehovah's organization, the Watchtower Society, the society. I just can't say it no more. I'm so cleansed of it now that it's like, what? But I see these beards. So anyways, let me get back to what I was telling you and what telling everybody else. So I have this one brother that the last time I spoke to him, it was not a good conversation, and he challenged me to a Bible study, and I laughed and I said, "Look, I said, first of all, I would have buried him, but I don't do that. You don't use the Bible as a weapon, because I'm a born again Christian, and I don't do that. You want to have a Bible study with me? I'm just going to ask questions. That's it, because I learned a long time ago, asking questions is the best way to win a conversation. So, anyways, recently, thanks to Facebook, I have been, hey, sis, I just got, I'm remarried. I have a new baby, and, you're the Aunt Wendy. And I'm like, what? But something changed. And then when I saw his picture on Facebook, he's got a beard. And I'm like, what the heck? He's got a beard. And he travels to do music and does well for himself and works, and I'm thinking back then, you're not supposed to have higher education. You're not supposed to be able to have a good job and make good money. You're not supposed to be able to have a life. Your life is in the kingdom hall,
Well, Wendy, I've got something that I've thought of for like 6 months. The Bible says only marry in the Lord. Well, the people, they believe in Jesus, don't they? But no,
not the same way.
Yeah, they made it to only marry in Jehovah. Yeah. But it says marry only in the Lord. I mean, they've got a distorted view of anyone who believes in Jesus other than they. And of course, they don't really push Jesus. It's really terrible.
Well, it's always been that way. And I mean, I literally have every Bible they've ever used, literally. And I mean, because
I do too, as a matter of fact.
And let me tell you something. In the Gray Goose, they changed way over 200 scriptures, and I have every one of them. I have them tagged. It took me years. Marilyn Marsh, she's up in heaven. She helped me do that, because when I found out the truth, it wasn't about let's fix this relationship with God thing. For me, it was like, I want to know what just hell happened to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I suffer from PTSD from being, molested as a child, and several times, and twice by Jehovah Witnesses. So,
by witnesses? Yeah.
Yes, of course. We need by witnesses, of course. I mean,
there's only ones who would, right? I mean,
right, but they don't get. You don't. I named one person. Tell me the last time you heard somebody on news said, "Oh, Channel 5 News. We find out today that a little girl was raped in the Kingdom Hall. They're going to be arrested and prosecuted." Never. You don't call the cops. But anyway,
I'm going to tell you a true story. Because before I knew witnesses were known for child molestation going on, my plumber was a lifer witness. He and his brother lived next door to me, and he got arrested for molesting his 13-year-old cousin or 14-year-old who was staying with them. They took custody of her, and here's the thing: I went over to the house one time, and there she is. She's kind of cute girl, long brown hair. Semi-brown hair girl, and he was in shorts with no shirt, shorts with no shirt. And I thought, I don't think that's appropriate around the daughter. I think I lost you. No, I didn't lose you. Anyway,
I'm here.
He got arrested, went to court. I did everything I could to get him off. I really did. There were several elders there at the courtroom, and I came several times, and they were trying to say, well, the DNA evidence is like 9 points. And then I guess the lawyer argued, well, it should be at least 12. You can't prove it with 9 points. Anyway, he did get off. Well, he died 2 years ago. My plumber did, but he was everybody's plumber. He had told me, I've committed adultery on my wife 4 times. And my wife forgave me, but the elders gave me private reproofs. And I figured out why. I wrote in a poem about that. I'm not going to do it at night because he did people's lawn care, elders, their plumbing, all kinds of work for them.
Of course.
That's why he never got Disfellowshipped. Yeah. That's what's going on in this hellhole.
Yeah, but I have to tell you, it was very, 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 very strict when I was going to the Kingdom Hall, when my family, the field service thing, the way we had to dress thing.
You're talking about the 60s, right?
No, I'm talking 60s, 70s, 80s.
You were earlier than me. There was some lax congregation. I came in like 76.
No, not down where we was. Ooh, no.
I hear you because I hear it was stricter, then it got laxer, and then it got stricter again. They keep doing this rotational thing,
Yeah, look, I was 14 years old when I got taken in the back room. Not with 3 elders, 4 elders. And they read my diary to me and they asked me questions. And I'm talking about inappropriate questions you don't ask me from my diary. And I was so angry that I wouldn't answer. And I said, you guys are perverts. And I was screaming to my dad, you need to get me out of this room because these are perverts. And, believe me, I wasn't an easy one.
Dr. Ruth wannabes,
No, you don't understand. Because we were in the time frame where we had everybody, there was a lot of disfellowshipping going on. And if you got disfellowship, you didn't get to talk to your family. And, come on. So, but, things have changed. Come on. First of all, if you do your history, and it's not about religion, folks, do your history. Look, if you want to come from the Bible says to test the spirits so that they are from God. So test these people. And testing them means checking out their history. What is wrong with knowing the history?
Well, you weren't allowed to, Wendy.
I know. But they used to show us that stupid movie that they made.
Yeah, Wendy, this is what I'm going to call it. It's the talk, because I've converted quite a few people in Watchtower. And my study teacher gave me the talk, too. Took me to a Christian bookstore, and he said, look at this book here. I said, what is that? He said, 30 Years of Watchtower Slave. This is the evil slave class. This is apostasy. You don't read any books like that. He gave me the talk. I did the same thing to a family of 4. I'll tell you what, that's what they do. That's part of the strategy.
Yep. No, believe me, I know. Here's how they do it. Every year they show us that stupid movie of their version, and I have it somewhere on CD. Their version of
the history of how the Jehovah's Witnesses came to be the Jehovah's Witnesses. First of all, Russell was a pervert, okay? Rutherford was a drunk, okay? And then the rest of them fools on the governing body, when they made the governing body, all each had their own little issues. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, give me a freaking break. That you know, if you're gonna tell me that your Jehovah's gonna destroy you at Armageddon because you wanted to find out who these people are, give me a break.
Wendy, maybe Rick can answer this question because I don't actually know, when did they actually start disfellowshipping, Rick?
Oh,
Not 1947.
yeah, I was going to say from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah. There was no disfellowshipping until then. Yeah.
And it was a big deal because, you know, the things that you got disfellowshipped over. I mean, I remember, and Rick knows this because they showed that, and I'm sure Rick has the movie. It's that old movie that they made sure you watched that. That way you knew this was the true documentary of who you are. Don't watch anything else. Don't read anything else. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's horrible. And then we'd have to listen. No, and then when the person that got disfellowshipped, they say, okay, Wendy Tucker has been disfellowshipped, and they don't say why, and they tell you, okay, so, you know, whatever, and so, you know, you sit in the back of the queue, I got to show up. But you always knew what they got disfellowship for. Why? Because the brother would have a talk about fornication, adultery, or whatever the hell it was that you did. You know what I'm saying? So, and that was the way to humiliate you, okay? That was the way to humiliate you.
Of accusing you of secret sins, which you weren't sure, did I do that or did I? It had you constantly on edge, you know?
Yeah, well, I was the elder's daughter. Let me tell you something. Everything went to hell for me as soon as I hit I was a fighter, you know, but the elders, whew, man, you know, and then, you know, just, I don't know. I mean, I see them.
Not over. Here's what I'm saying. It's not over. I want to see, like Rick Farron, I want to see Watchtower go down.
Well,
before I leave this world, I want to go down. And if you're an apostate, you do tube or anything, and you're not in it to win it, then get the hell out. That's what I say. Because we've got to stick it out till we get them completely exposed and get rid of them.
Which is hard. Which is hard. That's why they moved.
No, I don't care how hard it is. It's got to be
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you how hard it is. The Palm Beach Post, I don't know if it's still happening because it was years and years ago, but Marilyn Marsh, who had connections to the Palm Beach Post because she was a realtor, and her husband and her son, I think they were DJs or whatever. The Palm Beach Post, when people tried to write,
hold on 1 second.
Okay, we got
muted. Goodbye.
Okay, go ahead, Wendy. Well, Wendy's still with us? Hold on 1 second. Let me go back. We'll get Wendy back with us. Okay. Okay, Wendy, you with us now? Is Wendy with us now? Wendy Tucker. Can you hear me? How about King and Dots? Can you hear me? Hold on 1 second. Give me a second, folks. We'll get this organized here in time. Can you hear me now, Wendy? If anyone can hear me out there, go ahead and just call in. Just say hello to me, okay? I'm not sure what happened here. Let's hit *6. They're talking. Okay, I can't. All right, good. Okay, just hold on, folks. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, we'll get this straightened away here in a second. For some reason, we lost the audio. But we'll check it out here in a second, so just hang with us. Okay, hold on. All right. I don't know why we lost Wendy. And, well, let's see. Hold on. Boy, I'll tell you, sometimes strange things happen. All right, we're not picking up on Wendy for some reason. Stay with us, friends. I'm trying to figure out this little technical snafu that we just entered here, but we'll get to it. I do believe that people are talking on there right now. Susan, would you mind unmuting yourself and see if I can hear you? Okay. Somebody out there, if you could do that for me. Just Ken up there in Michigan, unmute yourself, hit *6 and say hello. Why we lost audio, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened. Are you there, Ken? All right, let's see what went on here, folks. This is absolutely nutty. I'm trying to figure out here, so don't go anywhere if you're listening in. This is Wendy Tucker filling in for Anne Marie tonight. Why we have no sound here, I'm not sure. Let me see if we lost our telephone contact. Let's see. Just give us a second. Well, I'm going to dial out and dial back in again. Maybe that will solve the problem. I'm not sure. Okay. Okay, so let's do that. Everyone's muted right now. Hold on 1 second, folks. We're going to dial out. Dial back in again. We're going to do this. Sometimes the telephone system, we lose the audio, but we'll go right back. Stay with us. Wendy will be right back on with us.
Welcome to My One Number. If you are the host, press star now. Otherwise, please wait and you will be joined into the... Please enter your... Thank you. There are 17 participants in the conference. Recording did not start because your storage is full. Please log in and delete recordings or purchase more storage from your account.
Okay, we should.
Ma'am. And now, what is your name? Yeah, I'm sorry, we're having a lot of technical difficulties tonight.
Wendy, we're all set now. We're all back.
No.
What we had. Let me just explain to the audience. What happened.
Okay.
Oh no, stay with us.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say, Wendy, what happened? We've had some people from Bethel. They are Watchtower operatives. We call it we call them.
Yeah, they used to do that to my show. I remember.
Oh yeah, so that's
why I was talking over them. They're not messing with you. Don't you remember?
Oh yeah.
He's back again.
Yeah.
He's back again.
Okay,
The
so
conference has been locked.
well,
This is what happens when the truth. This is what happens when the truth comes out. The Watchtower Society freaks out and they send trolls to stop Rick. It's been going on I came in 2010, 2011, and let me tell you something. I learned about these trolls quick with Rick. So, when it happens, you guys just let Rick fix everything because he can only fix it on his end, and just be patient. Is that lady still there that was talking? Ma'am?
if you are there, just hit *6 on your telephone pad. If you'd like to say hello to Wendy, we do have a number of people on here right now, Wendy.
Yeah, we had a caller. A lady. Ma'am, are you still out there?
Wendy?
Yes.
Okay, this is John.
Hi, John. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
It's funny, deja vu. Those trollers get in and they wreck the system. That's the Watchtower for you. That's the society.
Absolutely. You know, what's interesting is that, they started disfellowshipping, as Rick indicated, in 1947. But what's interesting is that they criticized the Catholic Church for many, many years prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that. And of course, then they started doing it, but they took it to another level, of course. I got disfellowshipped me over 40 years ago, and I don't consider myself disfellowshipped because I no longer believe in the religion. So therefore, I'm not disfellowshipped.
Exactly. You're just fellowship from their society. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Well, the thing is,
can we get that on paper, please?
Yeah, well, my mom, my dear mom, died 2 years ago, 95 years old.
Sorry.
She got this fellowship in 1951, My dad got, I'm sorry, she got baptized in 51. My dad got baptized in 52. I grew up in the religion in the 50s. I was a child. So I went through the 1960s, 70s. And, the thing is that.
Ow. Are you on the same medication I'm on?
Oh, no, I'm not on any. As a matter of fact, I'm not on any.
I'm kidding.
I know you are. No,
you survived everything, pal.
Well, here's the deal. I believed it all those years.
Of course.
Until about 2018. And I was attempting to come back to the Kingdom Hall because I still believed in it, even though I was disfellowshipped for 40 years or so. So I said, well, let me come back because I don't want to be short on again.
Right.
And so I went to the Kingdom Hall and talked to the elders. They said, well, you just keep coming and, we'll bring you back. But I'll tell you something, after being out so long, I dreaded going back to being a Jehovah's Witness and living in a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So, something came over me just in my own mind. I said, something, I'm tired of being afraid of Armageddon. I said, I wonder if this is...
That's a place. Armageddon is a place, not an event. That's what I try to tell everybody. It's a place.
Well, yeah, I asked myself, what if this is not true? So what I did was I went online, went on YouTube, and I typed in ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. And I came across a website called XJW Critical Thinkers.
Yeah.
And I listened to him. His name was JT. And I listened to him, his former brother, and he was indicating why he left, 3 reasons why he left.
Right.
One of which was the 1914 teaching. The other one was regarding Malawi in the 1960s.
Oh, I have all that literature. Woo! I got stuff that they'd like to burn my little basket.
So, the thing is that I listened to him, and I'll tell you something, I was still a believer, but I was looking for it not to be a believer because I no longer wanted to be true.
Right.
And so I listened to him. First of all, if he was kind of like unkept in appearance,
right,
I wouldn't have listened to him. He was clean cut. He had a shirt and tie on.
Of course.
That's why I listened.
Right.
And because if you haven't woke up yet, the way you look is going to turn someone off. Now, once you've waken up, it doesn't matter. But if you haven't woken up and you're trying to discover something, you need to look as neat as possible. And he did. And that's why I listened.
Right.
And then I kept listening. I didn't really believe, he made some very good points. And I kept listening. I listened to him. I listened to a couple others. Right. And what really convinced me was when they were a member of the United Nations. Now, that really threw me because all those years they always talking about
22 corporations, a little weird there.
Right. I mean, the wild beasts. Now, of course, the United Nations are the wild beasts, and here they are, NGO.
Mm-hmm.
For 10 years, didn't say anybody. Only thing did happen.
They needed the library. I know that story. They needed the library.
Right, but the thing is, the Guardian magazine came out with the article. The Guardian magazine exposed them, and then they exposed them, and then they came out with this thing. Oh well, the reason why as you alluded to, we joined for a library card. No,
right.
Nonsense.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so that they could use it. I remember so that they could use it to go to different nations to spread the word of Jehovah, whatever. I'm so far cleansed I can't even remember the saying, but yes, you're boy. Keep going.
Matter of fact, I have the proof.
I bet
I have the letter from someone who inquired, and they wrote them back indicating to whom it may concern, and they confirmed that they were indeed a member of the United Nations, and they gave them years they were a member.
Oh yeah,
I had the letter. So that did it for me. And of course, the Australian Royal Commission, that did it for me. So I'm going to tell you something. Once I discovered that I've been lied to all this time, see, the problem is this. When you're raised as a Jehovah's Witness and you never went to any of the other churches and never got exposed to any other religion, you take it for granted. You take it because your parents taught you that. So you never question it.
Right.
You just assume that you're going to be destroyed. My mother used to talk to me all those years out of fellowship about coming to the hall, tell me I'm going to be destroyed, telling me when I was a youngster that I had really nice relatives that didn't bother anybody is going to be destroyed simply because of the fact they were not Jehovah's Witnesses. It didn't make any sense to me. So once I found out that
The conference has been unlocked.
a big building off my shoulders, it really was.
Of course.
Because all those years, and I know you can relate to this, that even though you don't think about Armageddon every day, it's still in the back of your mind. And it really interferes with your decision making through your life to some extent.
Right.
Because
as
you
a
say,
Jehovah's Witness. I mean, where your path goes when you leave, for me, I have the Lord, and I've done so much research on the word destroy, on the word Armageddon, which is a place, on the, the paradise earth thing that I've got. It's not about religion here, okay? It's facts of what they had to convince you of, what they had to make you believe to make them be able to control your mind.
That's correct. That's correct.
And what happened is you describe a period of when, it was still being molded as to what it is today. But you have to go deeper. I mean, I was around people, and Rick knows all these people, and he has people that before I came, of tapes, I'm sure that he still has, of witnesses that, when the apostate thing came out, and every kingdom hall had to be warned. So I remember the talk. It was in the 70s. Oh, there's people out there. They're called apostates. If they come near you with literature, don't take it. Walk away. Run the other way. They're of Satan and da-da-da-da-da. Well, guess what? I'm an apostate. Hell, but who's really the apostate? You know what I'm saying? So, but it doesn't matter, because when you're brainwashed, like you said, when you're raised in it, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I wanted to talk about this subject. So you were raised in it. So, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody else that wants to talk, or if you want to cover more subject matter of what I've given out. What were some of the things that I wanted to hear about?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So what time period did you leave?
I got this fellowship in the late 1980s.
Okay.
And, I'm in my 70s now.
Right.
And so, the thing, I'm going to tell you something too, Wendy, that really, really helped me, even when I was a Jehovah's Witness, is I always was a weak Jehovah's Witness. Always. I never aspired to be an elder, a ministerial service. I went to my meetings. I did go out and field service. I did the bare minimum. Okay. I did the bare minimum because I'm going to tell you something else too. Here's another thing that's interesting. I was not motivated because I loved Jehovah. I was motivated because I didn't want to be destroyed at Armageddon. The fear is what drove me to go to the meetings. It wasn't that I loved Jehovah.
Right.
That was not it. And the thing is that when you're being feared to do something,
right,
your whole devotion and soul is not in it.
Right.
And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed Bible commentary. I enjoyed some of the friends. The friends who were there, the nice friends there, nice people. Don't get me wrong.
The conference has been locked.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But my point.
Did you guys have picnics?
The conference has been unlocked.
We did.
The conference has been locked. The conference has been unlocked. The conference has been locked. The conference has been unlocked. The conference has been locked. The conference has been unlocked. The conference has been locked. The conference has been unlocked. The conference has been locked. The conference has been unlocked. The conference has been locked. The conference has been unlocked. The conference has been locked. The conference has been unlocked. The conference has been locked. The conference has been unlocked. The conference has been locked. The conference has been unlocked.
Hold on, we got more.
The conference has been
Hold
locked.
on, John, to something.
Conference has been unlocked.
Sure.
All trollers out there ain't got nothing better to do with your time because you know what you're hearing is truth. Is that what it is? Or this fear that we're talking about, is that why you're doing it? Yep, I hear you. I hear you.
Muted. Unmuted.
Dirty
nigger.
There.
Dirty nigger.
There.
Stop the racial presence, please.
The conference has been locked.
It's a troller. It's a troller. Probably
Yeah,
somebody
in
that
fact,
knows who I am.
Anne Marie, not Anne Marie, but Wendy, I think they know who you are. You're a strong speaking woman and they don't like it.
think so.
They don't like it.
Oh my
So-
God.
So may I continue now?
Yes, please. I was enjoying our conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing is that that was instilled in me, and like any other Jehovah's Witness child, you're afraid of Armageddon.
Yep.
And matter of fact, I can recall I was playing when I was a youngster. I was playing with another Jehovah's Witness young boy, and we were playing basketball or whatever, and we had a little argument. And he turned around and said, "You know what? I'm going to make it." Talking about he's going to make it into the new order. I don't think that happened. Probably didn't happen towards adult Jehovah's Witnesses, but children, you are instilled. Either you're going to make it, be destroyed in Armageddon and make it to the new order, or you're going to be destroyed. Now, to be fair, if you went to Catholic Church or Baptist Church or Lutheran or whatever, you are going to, they have heaven and hell, of course. So there's always a punishment, but that's based on being a bad person, not
Right.
going to meetings.
Well, that's a big lie there anyway. That whole subject is a big lie.
Right. But here's the thing: the difference when you go to Catholic church. I got a lady friend who's Catholic. I go with her occasionally. The biggest thing is that to be a good or bad person.
Right. The 10 Commandments and the basics. That's all you need.
That's it.
I work for a lot of Catholic people. I know. They don't know their Bible, but they know just be a good person.
But the thing is, with Jehovah's Witnesses, it's beyond that. It's not just
Way beyond that. But my brother.
In other words,
Not like it
if you-
was.
if you don't go to your meetings,
Okay.
if you don't go out in field service, and you don't go to assemblies, even if you're a good person, you're still going to be destroyed. See,
Right,
so
but now you don't even have to go out and field service. You can do it at home, writing stupid letters to my clients.
yeah. But,
I've had clients hand me the phone, and they're like, "Wendy, you used to be a Jehovah Witness. Talk to these people," and they love it because I play with them and I have fun and I tell them the truth. I'm like, "I'm sorry, but we believe he's the real one," And,
Right. Well, the thing is that it's the situation. Even if they don't go out in field service door to door,
right,
they still require you to do some preaching.
right.
And
but
so-
it's not like it was.
Right. Well,
You were in it in the 70s, right? The 70s was
of
hot.
course, 60s.
60s was hot too, because that's when my mom.
Of course.
I have her study. I actually have the book that she had to study to get baptized, and I have her baptized date in there too. I don't know where it is right now, but of course.
Yeah. Well, in the 1960s, the Bible, the book study, was in our basement at home.
Right.
And
Yeah, we had it in our house too.
Yeah, it was Babylon the Great Has Fallen. That was the book. That was the book in 1965. And the thing is that it's interesting because, again, if you go to Mass, if you can go to Mass tomorrow, and miss 2 weeks, a month, if you're a good person, you're still good.
Yeah.
That doesn't work with Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's the difference there. That's the difference there. So there's always some fear, but the fear outside of being a Jehovah's Witness is only based on, are you a good person, bad person, not whether or not you attend service.
Right.
That's
But
the difference.
with the witnesses, here we're talking about witnesses. So with the witnesses, The way things have changed now, I feel sorry for the people that were disciplined for the things that they're allowed now to do freely. And I don't think it's as strict. And I think money talks, and I have personal reasons for that I won't say because it's personal. But it's all about money. We have to remember, you got to go a little deep. Who is the Watchtower Society? It's not about religion. It's about convincing people about religion.
That's correct.
Okay, which is why they had to make the New World Translation. I have every single one, from the first print to the last print to the Grey Goose, and I'll keep reading them and keep figuring out what they've done because the whole thing is a mirage. And it's like the Wizard of Oz, behind the curtain, the Watchtower curtain, and all this is coming back to me now, and this is stuff that Rick, and I talked about on the shows years ago. Rick knows all that. He's got tapes that'll blow your mind from back in 2013, 14, 15, and before that, when he started to that time frame, and the way people have come out, and the things that have happened, and the suicide rate. And see, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the differences like the lady earlier said, yes, California was a lot more lackadaisy and but in California, the society, it's about dollars and cents. Okay. Because
you're correct. You're correct. And
they were a real estate company laundering money to their stupid so-called religion. Give me a break.
Okay. It really is. I've always said this. Others as well. Is the business masquerading as religion, and you are correct.
22 corporations, what the heck? That's not a church.
Right. And also, you alluded to regarding it's not as strict. You're correct. It's not as strict as it was.
Because they're losing people. People don't want to be something told. But I know somebody that's been through 3 wives because they came in to be witnesses and they couldn't handle it. They took off and ran.
That's it. You know what? May I bring up Jehovah's Witness marriage?
Thank God I was gone before I got hooked into something, because that's what my father used to say. I don't have to worry about you. You'll be getting married. I'm like, oh yeah, to who? Because you ain't arranging no marriage for this girl.
well, may I bring that up? Because I wanted to use.
Go right ahead, because everybody married everybody in their Kingdom Hall, and the pick of the litter was not there. Okay.
Well, I want to talk about my dear departed sister, one of my dear departed sisters.
Okay.
She died in January 2016 of breast cancer.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. She's resting in peace, Lord.
Thank you very much. Anyway, she was devout Jehovah's Witness, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And when she got married to her husband, they were 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a happy marriage until the time that he started cheating on my sister. And so, of course, they got divorced. And on time waited to remarry another brother. And so around 1985, around there, she met a brother 15 years older than her. Okay? And he was a nice brother. I was still disfellowshipped, but, the thing is that he was a very nice brother. Very good to my nephew and niece. But once they got married, there was a slight problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem was this. He told my sister, listen, I'm really not into sex. I don't care about sex. Now, of course, that's a problem.
Yeah, of course.
Because my sister was a normal woman who expected to have sexual relations with her husband.
Exactly.
Now, he died a little bit before she did. He died in 2015, about a couple of months before she died. She died in January 2016. They both had cancer. So, their marriage is going to be problematic, okay, to say the least. And, first of all, that would have been a problem in any marriage. Unless, of course, both parties are not into sex that much. Now, what he should have done before they got married was tell my sister, look, I care about you, but I want to tell you something. I'm really not into sex that much. I'm really not into that. Then my sister could have made the decision
Right.
whether or not she wanted to pursue it into the marriage or not.
Right.
He didn't do that. He waited until he married her. Now, he was very good to her, to my nephew and niece, very good stepfather, all that. But, you know, when you don't tell someone that you're not into sex and here you are married a sister,
But do you think he was just pressured because he's a man and he has to be married, you know, because you're a Jehovah Witness and you know, I mean, I don't mean to be too personal, was he in the closet? I mean, you know what I'm
saying? No, he wasn't gay at all. No,
okay.
No.
So there were a lot of, you know.
No, he wasn't. That wasn't my brother-in-law's problem.
But when I first came on Rick's program, I interviewed a lot of people. And I interviewed women who were beaten so badly that they went to the Kingdom Hall with their mouths wired shut and big sunglasses on, and the elders coming over and telling them, well, maybe next time if you do that, you need to think about what you did that could have accelerated the situation. He's going to work on himself with Jehovah, and we will take care of him, and you're going to work on yourself. And I mean, this woman's jaw is wired shut, and she's got two black eyes, busted up face. She's in the and she wasn't the only one. She wasn't the only one. And I mean, when I finally open up my trunks and get, you know, some of my stuff out, I mean, let me tell you something. There were time periods, like I said, where the suicide rate went up within the kingdom, and nobody really, that was never discussed. And like I said about the Palm Beach Post, people would try to, you know, produce, you know, when the apostate thing started cooking, people, and according to Marilyn Marsh, maybe she rest in peace, she was my mentor, she was my mom, and she was the one that told me, she says, Wendy, you know, there's no article going to be published. You can't even get a billboard up in that area because the people, the society is making sure that, you know, apostates are not getting their message across. Why do you think we have a troller on our phone tonight? Why do you think Rick has to go crazy trying to figure out who's this person? Because somebody comes in from the society and, you know, they used to do that to my computer. You know, I think my computer's still broke because of them, because I tried to turn it on and it won't even fire up. But I think do you remember people being disfellowshipped in your Kingdom Hall besides you before it happened to you? Do you, you know, I mean, you grew up in it, right? You grew up in it.
Sure.
You know, what part of the country did you go to the Kingdom Hall?
I'm from the East. Upstate New York, and then we moved to Michigan.
Right.
And you know, I can definitely call people getting the fellowship. I remember one particular case in my congregation where this brother, he was an elder, and there was a brother who was a ministerial servant. Well, his wife left him and married the ministerial servant. And matter of fact, they would walk into the Kingdom Hall arm in arm. And the elders had to bring him aside and say, look, you know, don't be so, you know, open with it. Because she left her husband, married this, you know, still servant. And he was on his way up. After he was petitioned, could have been an elder. Anyway, they got married. He forced him and married him in the same congregation. So that was very, very stressful. You can imagine.
Yeah,
little brother.
Yeah.
You know, brother.
Who's that? Somebody's there?
Yeah, this is Grow Faith. Brother, what eventually happened to your brother-in-law?
My brother-in-law, he died of cancer a couple of months before my sister did. And my brother-in-law, like I said before, he wasn't a closet gay. He just wasn't into sex. There are people, men and women, who are not really into sex.
Believe me, I know.
Okay, and my brother-in-law was a good man. However, what he should have done was tell my sister prior to them getting married. Then she could have made the conscious decision whether or not she wanted to go along with the marriage or not before they got married. He didn't tell her. He told her after they got married. So I'm not saying they didn't have sex. It's just that I think, you know, I didn't get into their business. I don't get into personal business. But the thing is,
is lacking. You know, there's a certain amount of affection that you have to give a woman. It's not necessarily intercourse.
No, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Hold your woman, make her feel safe and loved and adored, and put her.
Yeah, but also my sister is a normal woman. She wants sex with her husband.
Right, exactly. But and that's for a woman to not be able to.
Right, and so I don't.
Yeah.
And so I know it affected their marriage, and they stayed married all that time. But the reason why I brought that up is because basically she was just stuck. You know, she was just stuck. You know, all those years, and
that's not an excuse for divorce. And they will come down on you for that. And
yes. You know, the thing is, that's the only thing I fault my brother-in-law on was he should have told my sister before they got married, and then you could have made, you could have made a decision. You know, here's the thing. You know, with that situation, if my sister was that way, they would have been fine. My sister's a normal woman. She expects to have sexual relations with her husband. Okay? And so it can work the other way around. Let's say the woman is not really into sex and marry Jehovah's Witness brother. That's very unfair to him.
Yeah.
So it's and that's why I brought this up, because it's in Jehovah's Witness marriage. It's very difficult trying to find a brother.
But if you're expected to get married because you're expected to breed and bring in more, I'm telling my father, I had 4 brothers, and oh man, I used to hate when he'd say that. Oh, I don't got to worry about you. You're going to be married off. So let me tell you something. Every one of my brothers took off and found other congregations to go to seek out wives. There was no way in hell, okay, that they were going to find anybody in the Kingdom Hall we were going to. Because all the people that ended up marrying each other in the Kingdom Halls as we grew up, their marriages were you could tell. And like I said, when Rick knows, I mean, I can't remember the names. I have like 4 or 5 women come on and tell me my nose got busted, my jaw got busted, and then, the molestation and the raping and the elders and I mean, I know because they read my diary and they enjoyed it, okay? They enjoyed it. The
assemblies were the place where the sisters would get new outfits.
Right. You're right.
And try to look for husbands, okay? And, the thing is that, the conventions in the 1960s, I like because you got a chance to go out of town. For example, 1950s.
And the 70s.
70s as well. I know in 66, I went to Baltimore, Maryland for the assembly. In 68, I was in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
And so you got a chance to visit these cities, and it was an 8-day convention back in those days. 8 days. And you got
Yeah. I remember because we stayed at the Ramada Inn.
Right. It was an 8-day convention. I would get there a couple of days ahead of time, got a chance to view the city. Very long conventions, and you had the sisters really dressed very nice, very pretty.
Oh, that's when they broke it out, okay? Because I remember my mom would take me shopping, and my mother, of course, we were upper middle class. We were, my dad had the money to buy.
Sure.
We would
Tucker
family.
Sure.
And the best dresses from Jay Byron's and Bird.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that Jehovah's Witnesses are human beings.
Right.
They want to have a mate. That's only natural. Nothing wrong with that. And so consequently, they try to fix themselves up and look for a husband.
You remember, though, brother, they want to control your marriage.
Sure.
Okay. That's another subject right there about sex in the bedroom and how the society has intruded on people. And tattletale, my wife did, or my husband wanted to make me do this. It's just
right. The thing is, what's interesting about that you brought up earlier regarding that they made some changes. They've also made changes in the bedroom as well.
Oh, really? What are they allowed to make it?
as far as oral, that was a no-no.
Oh, But they're getting enough of it up in Bethel that, or where they are now in New York.
Right.
That they, you know what? Why don't we just let everybody we'll have more parishioners, so bring them on in.
Yeah, well, it's something. It's
Who
something
gave that talk? Who gave that talk?
Well, the thing is, when my understanding back then was that if you could not, when you engage in sexual relations with your wife or husband, only if you are in a position to impregnate them. In other words, that was the only situation, no other type of sexual thing. But they're losing up on that as well because they're losing so many members.
Exactly.
This is why the dressing situation until now. And quite frankly, I'm going to tell you something. I have no problem, absolutely no problem, people looking neat. I still look neat to this day. I don't have a beard. I'm clean shaven to this day.
Right.
I think it looks better than the beard, in my opinion.
Right.
I'm still a neat man. And I tell some of the younger ones that were around in the 80s and 90s, Jehovah's Witnesses did not invent a suit and tie. I
know that, but they sure know how to wear them.
no, but my point is, if you went to church in the 1960s, everybody was dressed up. The family was dressed up. Yeah. That was just normal. We lived in a neat society. Today we do not.
Right.
So when I tell young people, you're looking at things from today's perspective, but you weren't here in the 1960s. If you were here in the 1960s, you would be clean shaven as well. Because if you were around in the 1960s with a long beard, shaggy beard, you couldn't get a girlfriend. They wouldn't have nothing to do with you.
Right.
You couldn't look like that. So my point is, you can't compare today to back in the 1960s. And sometimes young people lose perspective because they only look at their time. And you have to go back to my time.
Right.
And so that's how it was. You didn't see John Wayne with no beard. Kurt Douglas didn't wear a beard.
So, back in the day, I mean, I don't know.
I'm not knocking people who wear beards. What I'm saying is that.
No, I know.
There's nothing wrong.
Hey, Wendy.
By the way, you remember when?
I'm not knocking that. What I'm saying is, there's also nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being neat.
Right. Hey, John, and Wendy, John and Wendy. This is Rick at the Six Screens. We got about probably 10 more minutes, and we're gonna wrap it up. We got a lot of we do have a lot of people who want to talk to you. So why don't we open the lines? John, always good to hear from you. Always good to hear your comments and thoughts. Always good.
Okay.
So if someone wants to speak up before Wendy ends the program.
Who's next on the call? Who's next? We'll cut you down to give me a 2-minute speech of what you like and see if we can get 3 people in there for you. How's that? All right. Hello?
Yeah, come on. Yeah, let me just reiterate here. I agree with what John said. This is Rick of the Six Screens. I do agree with what John was saying. Back then, if you had a straggly beard that caught my attention, you had to be clean shaven. You couldn't even have 5 o'clock shadow. There were many brothers that came to give a talk at the Kingdom Hall, and they said, gee, some Kingdom Halls had a razor and shaving cream, and they sent you into the bathroom and said, shave your 5 o'clock shadow. I mean, that's how pristine, clean they wanted everybody to be. So John is right.
Yeah.
And I like it when John comes on. Hey, look, Wendy's got a few minutes here. If you'd like to speak up, now's your chance to do it. We had to put things on lock, so we did lose a few people that didn't want to speak up, Wendy. But why don't you just kind of recap it and give a little summary? And now, will you be coming on tomorrow at 2:00 on Emery's program?
I don't. If I'm back from church in time, yes. And 2:00 my time, or what?
It'll be 2:00 your time, Eastern. If you can make it, fine. If not, don't worry. Okay. But if you make it, you make it in. But don't worry.
Yeah, no. My time 2:00 is good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll see you tomorrow as well. But anyways, if anyone, I just want to mention, Wendy's got a program tomorrow, and it's called Jehovah's Witnesses share their story of being in the Watchtower. And if anybody out there,
you mean Anne-Marie?
I'm sorry.
You mean Anne-Marie?
Yeah, Anne-Marie, but you'll be filling in for her tomorrow.
I'll be on there. Yeah, Anne-Marie and I, she was on the Hen's Pen for a very long time, and
Yeah.
we had a segment
Yeah.
that we'd love to do. But yeah, so I'll be looking forward to that. So tomorrow, you guys, 2:00 Eastern time, which means 12 o'clock or
Yes.
what's that, 3 hours back, whatever California time. So anybody out there that wants to say something, anybody new that wants to say something before I do a quick summary and wrap it up and kind of just give everybody some food for thought? Hello? Any callers?
I'm here.
Yes,
Well, hi there, Wendy.
yes.
I wanted to compliment you on your exceptional job of filling in for Anne Marie because y'all friends.
Oh, of course. Anne Marie called me and she's like, I need your help. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I haven't been on the air in about 5 years, so
The conference has been unlocked.
in my heart, yeah. And Rick is, Rick and I, we go way back.
Wow.
Rick and I, he's got
What?
stories he could tell you about the 6 screens and the trolls and stuff. So, what is your name, sir?
I go by Dallas.
Okay, Dallas. So, were you a Jehovah's Witness? Are you, how long? What time frame?
Yes, I was, always was, but I was never a hardcore, fully devoted.
So you never got baptized?
I did, but
Okay.
I still wasn't this 100%. I believe that we needed to take a break sometimes from the activities or the
If
routine.
you got away with it, then you must have been in the Midwest or far West, because the east side of the country, you don't get to just be weak. If you sit in the back of the Kingdom Hall, they're gonna finger you out.
It's of course I love many of them, but I just believed in being balanced and all that good stuff. And and of course, I've never been, only been mostly Pimo, but the strongest I've ever been that I know of is PimQ, nothing more than that.
Well,
And that,
so now you are,
I woke
completely
up.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
All right. We got problems again with these trollers coming in.
Hey, Rick, somebody muted me. There, we got it. I'm back.
Okay, good.
Somebody
Yep.
muted me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right. Well, let me wrap it up for Rick. Thank you, sir, for talking. So you guys, everybody out there, here's some food for thought. Okay. If you are in the newer times, the early 2000s or the late 2000s or now, and you're listening to this program, you need to do your homework. Do your homework. Do the history.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Listen to the program.
This call has been taken over by the one.
And there are a lot of
The conference has been locked.
out there for you to help you navigate through this situation that you're in, coming out of the Watchtower and needing to have answers. I know that feeling, that passion of wanting to know what the hell did they do to me. So keep going, keep forward. And Rick, as long as Rick is out here, you're always going to get the information you need. And I look forward to tomorrow and talking again. We're having so much trouble. I'm going to hand it over to Rick. That way he can handle it better.
Yeah, in fact,
You out there, Rick?
yeah, I'm right here, Wendy. Yeah, thank you for understanding, and thank the audience too. They were really coming in tonight. Friends, I have to tell you, this is the only armament the Watchtower has left. To be dirty, rotten bums coming in here with vile, bad language. I apologize for that. The nature of our platform here is people can call in. And when they call in, sometimes it takes me a little while to identify who's doing it. especially when you have the amount of callers calling in as we do. So we do have to lock the call. I know I get calls coming as I'm speaking about what's going on, Rick. It's locked. So if you can't get in, you're listening now on YouTube, Facebook, wherever. If you can't get into the conference call and it says it's been locked, it's not that I locked you out. I'm just trying to keep some of the drunken Bethelites out. So that's what's going on. But I wanted to mention that, Wendy goes way back, and, she used a term at the outset of tonight's program that kind of caught my attention. She called it the conscious class. Now, that is the term that was used in the Jehovah's Witness, ex-witness world, I should say, for PMOs. We call them PMOs today. But before the acronym physically in, mentally out came into existence, if you were in the conscious class, that meant that you were waking up and you realized that the Watchtower wasn't teaching you the truth. So Wendy goes back. She goes back a while, and we want to thank Wendy for coming on tonight. What do you think of that, Wendy? Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun, and the trollers don't scare me. I remember having to look on the screen and pop them off, the little fake flag, bam, bam. And I remember a brother called in, he goes, "You're Quick Draw McGraw."
Yeah. Well,
so I gotta get my computer fixed so I can help you out with that, because that's fun. I love deleting them, the little bastards.
No, they are terrible. Well, thank you, Wendy. We'll see you tomorrow at 2:00.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. 2:00 tomorrow. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night tonight from Florida. Good night.
Thank you. And if anyone has a story to tell tomorrow, if you're listening in tonight and you want to tell your story of being in the Watchtower, call in tomorrow. Tell Wendy. She'll give you 20 minutes, a half hour if you need it. Let's hear how you've been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. All right. We're going to be going to Dick and Constance Borgie. Let me just check. I'm not sure they're coming on. Yeah, there they are. We're just going to do a little sound check. But before we do that, I do have to close out the other program. So just give me a second. Just one man here trying to do a lot. So let's end the stream. Touched by the tentacles. Let's do that right now.